Hello everyone, Albion Free Market here. I'm gonna do a crafting session because I have some focus to spend as usual, and I'll try to make it somewhat like a tutorial to help people using the crafting calculator in Albion Free Market. So first thing first, we have the data client running. That's useful for two things. One, it uploads your specs so you don't need to manually type them. And two, you can upload prices yourself. So there's no doubt about the prices we get from the database because they'll be up to date since you just uploaded them, which is really useful when you're comparing multiple crafts at once. So what we're gonna do is go to the website and we're gonna set up a craft. I already have it saved. I'm gonna do some fire step, but I'll just do it from start to make it easier to understand. So we're doing Fire Staff, Infernal, and Vendettas. So when you're starting to create a craft, you go to the Setup tab. And you don't add a single craft, you add a craft group. That means you select one item, and all the items in that group will be added so you can compare them all at once. So Fire Staff. So I select it here and it's been added. We can use this filter, but they're all here. Infernal. See, now we have both of them. And a Great Staff, which is Vendetta's wrap. Okay, so now we actually added 77 crafts to the list because they're all the tiers and all the enchantments for these three groups. So when we say a craft group, that's what it means. It's all the tiers and all the enchantments for that item group. These other things here, so general settings. When you're dealing with average prices, you can choose how many days you consider. The default is 14. That's good for me. I have premium. If I didn't set this, it would use the sales tax for someone who doesn't have premium. This is a shortcut to save the craft, but it can also be done here. So you can set a name for it. First step, Caerleon. But I'm not gonna save this because I already have one. So this is where we were adding the crafts. If I wanted to filter them, so I don't see everything here, I could choose like, so I only want to see 5.1. So these are the 5.1s we have, one for each. If you want to filter by amount in the sale location, but since we didn't load the prices yet, we don't know the average amounts, so it says unknown amount in black market. It says in black market because it's set to sell at black market. We'll get back to it later. And these are some other filters for the table, like hide missing prices. All of them are missing prices. You see, out of the 77, we have 77 missing prices. So because we didn't load the prices yet, so they're all hidden. Hide unselected. When you actually want to craft one of those crafts, you select it like this, like this. So if you hide the unselected, you only see the ones you selected. So, and this is a hide focus info. If you don't want to see the focus columns, like if you're not using focus, then you gain some screen space, especially if you're on a small screen. You can hide the weight info, so you don't see the profit per input or output kilograms and the total weight, which is here. Again, that's to save space. You can make the table much simpler, but I don't mind. You can hide the hideouts information. So if you're not crafting in a hideout, it doesn't matter the hideout power level, so you can just hide it. And this one, you only see the ones that have missing prices. You can see the details about the missing prices in this sign here. So it says what's missing for that craft. For now, everything's missing because we didn't load the prices yet. But once we do, if you have just one or a few prices missing, you can see it here, and you can manually enter the price if needed. Only main recipes doesn't apply to this one, but some crafts have multiple recipes. So if you only wanna see the main one, you should click this, and the other ones will be hidden. So you can hide fame info. It says total fame here, and fame per silver, fame per focus. So this is in case you're trying to optimize for fame, for leveling up. This might be useful. I don't need this now. You can hide the consumable speaker. So if you wanna use, like, I usually use a Kraken salad. You can either show or hide this. This one takes a lot of space because it's a big select. Okay, so those are the filters. You can actually filter by text as well. So like tab 6.1, you only see the 6.1 crafts. The resource return rate. So we can automatically calculate resource return rate. It works for royal cities, and it works for hideouts. The only place it doesn't work at the moment is for hideouts in the Roads of Avalon. So in that case, if you're doing hideout crafting in the Roads of Avalon, you might wanna turn this off. Then you can manually enter the resource return rate you want. It always shows the calculated, but you can manually enter any value you want. So we're gonna keep it on automatic. So we got some quick actions here. The number of runs on a craft is how many times you're gonna run that recipe. So if the recipe outputs one item and you run it 10 times, you're gonna output 10 items. But some recipes output more items, like potions. If I'm not mistaken, they output 5 items. So if you run the recipe 10 times, you're gonna output 50 items. So, but the number that you set for runs is how many times you're gonna click craft if we're doing one by one. It's not the number of items that's output. You'll be able to see the number of items you output in the outputs tab, and in the results tab, and in the selling list tab. But the runs number is how many times you run the craft. So you can set it to the number of the daily average. So if you press this, right now it's not gonna work because we don't have the average, but it sets, you see everything to 0 because we don't have the average right now. But once we load up the prices, we're gonna have some average amount sold per day, and it's gonna set the runs so it matches that. You can say how much focus you have available, and you can automatically set all the runs to the number of focus you have. So if we click this, oh, by the way, it only works if you're using focus. So we need to check that we're using focus, and this small button here allows me to propagate that setting to all the crafts. So now we're using focus on all the crafts, and I click this, and now all of them are set in a way that we spend the exact amount below 30,000 focus, which is what we have set. So all of them are near 30,000. So if you're crafting something that's bulk, you might wanna set the amount of crafts you're gonna do based on the mount you're gonna use. So you can choose whatever mount you want, like a grizzly bear. That's what I have. And you can choose if you're gonna set the number of runs based on the output weight or the input weight. So in this case, it's 2000 kilograms, and if I click here, all the runs are set in a way that the output weight is right below the max load of a grizzly bear. So as you can see here, the outputs, they're basically there, very close. It rounds down. It does the math and it rounds down, so you don't go above 100%. Okay, so that's how you set it up. Oh, there's also this one, craft at max resource return rate. So this automatically sets all the crafting locations to the max resource return rate. This is by default when you create it. When you add the craft groups, they by default go to the max return rate, so clicking it now won't make a difference. And this down here is the actual table. You can filter by group. So if you only want to see Infernal Staff, click here, you see all the Infernal Staff. Click again to remove it. If you want to delete the category, they'll be removed from your setting. I don't want to do that, but that's a way to clean up. And there's also this cleaning button that allows you to remove all the crafts that are not set to craft. They're not selected. That's just in case you don't like having a lot of items in your table. You can do that. And in the table, you set up the actual craft. So these buttons allow you to propagate the values. So the top one is to all crafts. The bottom one propagates only to the crafts of the same category. And for example, in ignore journals, that's a setting that you use if you don't want to consider journals for that specific craft. You can propagate to all crafts to the same category, or you can just propagate to the crafts that use the same journal. This is useful sometimes when, like, tier 4 journals, sometimes they're not profitable. The empty one is actually more expensive than the filled one sometimes. So in low tier crafting, sometimes you just don't want to do it. So these quick buttons are pretty useful, and you need to learn to use them. Otherwise, you're gonna be doing a lot of clicking, you know. Okay, so the actual settings. The craft setting is when you select the craft. You say, I want to craft this one. Then you just click it, and it will be set to craft. You'll be able to see it in the selected crafts. You'll see it in the results tab, and you see the output. If you go to the selling list, since you chose you want to craft that, it'll show here. Use focus, that's pretty simple. You're either going to use focus or not. Ignore journals, as I said, this makes the craft doesn't consider the journals. No sales taxes. This is for the map to not consider sales taxes. It's useful if you plan on selling it for someone directly, like via Discord or something, or if you're just crafting for yourself. You know, maybe you're crafting something that will be an input in another craft, so you don't need sales tax for that. This is where you choose the craft location. It shows the resource return rate for that craft in the location, and it's sorted by highest resource return rate. So we're crafting in Caerleon. All of them, so I'll propagate. How many runs we're doing? Let's use this because we're using focus. Consumable, since it'll be a high tier craft, I like using Kraken 6.1. There's a big discussion about if it's worth it or not using that for crafting to the black market. A lot of people think it's not. I think it is because there's a preference to higher quality. Now, if the normal and the excellent are the same price, it will buy the excellent using the normal buy order. So I think it's worth it. I think it helps sell faster. And it also crafts faster, so you don't need to look so long at the bar. So I just use it. It's kind of expensive, but it's not much. So the resource spend rate is set to automatic, so I can't actually change it. Daily bonus, you can choose if there's a daily bonus or not. So let's check. Nope, it's offhand sword, so no daily bonus. And the craft fee per nutrition, let's see what we have here, 360. Yeah, so it's 360. And I'll propagate because all of them are crafted at the same location, so. The extra expenses, that'll be if you had any extra expenses while you're crafting, you can put anything you want here. Like the most usual thing you add here is when we're rolling the quality. Like if you're crafting to sell at Royal Market, you usually want to bring the quality up because people don't buy normal quality. And those, we don't have that automatic calculation, so you just take note of how much you spent and you add it here, so it will be taken out of your profit and the calculation will be done correctly. And you can also add any other thing you want, like let's say you were transporting items and you died, you wanna add an expense here, you can do that just so you track your profits. And all the other fields are automatically calculated. So this table allows you to sort. So for example, by focus, it'll be sorted decreasing, increasing, by runs. And what the most useful one is profit. So right now there's no profit because we don't have the prices yet, but you'll be sorting by profit and by silver per focus today. Profit per focus. Okay, so that's it for the setup tab. The input tabs allows you to see all the inputs for all the crafts that you have. So they're all sharing the same price. For example, all of them are using Kraken salad, and you don't set the price for a Kraken salad for a craft. You just set the price for the Kraken salad. They will all use the same price. And it's very similar. You can hide unused. So when is an input considered used? When you have the craft selected. So right now we don't have any craft selected, 0 selected. So we don't have any used inputs. So let's say we want to craft this one. Now we have one craft selected. And if you choose hide unused, you're gonna see the crafts, the inputs for the crafts that you have selected. And now they have amounts. So I'm crafting 344 Great Fire Staff 4.0. And this is the amount I need to buy. This already considers the resource return rate. So we're buying 2,300 of this, 3,800 of this, 1 Kraken salad, and 69 journals. If you only want to see the items that have missing prices, you click this. Right now, all of them have missing prices. And there's an option to show the charts, but we need to load the prices first. So how do we load the prices? You just click here, refresh prices. We also have a button to set all the prices to AODP, because when we load the prices, we load them from the Albion Online data project. So refresh the prices loads up the prices and automatically applies them to any user price that's set to 0. So let's say I have 88 for this one. If I refresh the prices, it will load the Albion Online data project price, but it will not set because it will not override my price. But for the ones that I don't have a price set, it will. So let's say if I want to override this, then I click on this one, set all prices to AODP, then it will. And we also have a button for the set all leftover prices to user price, because that's how the resource return rate works. You, on the last craft you do, you have some materials left in your inventory. So the estimated amount is shown here. So we'll have 5 steel bar left and 8 pine planks left. That's an estimated amount because it's actually random. So on average, this will be the amount, but it varies. So to actually do the math in a complete way, we need to know for how much you're gonna sell the leftover material. And we have an option to make them match the user price, which is usually okay. So you might just want to be more careful with leftovers if you're crafting like 8.4, 8.3, where each input material is actually very expensive. But for low tier materials, this doesn't matter much, so you can just click this button and they'll match. Okay, so refreshing the prices. And there's an important detail here. This is where you choose the server you're using. This is a global setting for the whole website, so you choose the server you're using here, and that's where we're loading the prices from. You can also choose it here. So since we have it set to Americas, it loaded up the prices from Americas. So as you can see here, we're buying everything in Caerleon. We're buying everything from a sell order. So we're buying directly at the market. So it's using the sell order price from the Albion Online data project. As you can see here, it got a price of 446 for the steel bar, and it set my price for that. But for the journal, since I had a price set, it didn't. It did load the price, but it didn't set the price. I could click here to set it, or I could click up here and do it for all of them. So let's do that and see now it's replaced the value. It didn't find the price for the Kraken salad because no one checked it recently, so we don't have that. We don't have the price at the database, and we could manually enter a price, or you can just scan the market and refresh the prices again, which is what we're gonna do in a moment. So the charts, you can see a history chart for all the inputs. It's usually good to filter first because printing 25 charts along with all this data can slow down your computer if you're on a slow computer. So I usually just show the charts when I have hide and used. This is a good way to see if the price you set makes sense. So the red line is the price you set. The yellow line is the game history, game price history. So you can see if you're in a realistic price. So let's say I had this at, see, now it's lower, now it's higher. And there's also a setting where you're gonna sell how we're gonna sell this leftovers. The default is sell order. We're selling it as a sell order, and the price for the leftovers. And there's also a button to add to crafts. This is when you're doing cascading crafting. Like it's most useful in refining. So you want to refine all the way from the low tiers. This will add, let's say, the steel bar. Okay. let's say I don't want to buy the steel bar. I want to actually craft it, refine, because the crafting calculator works for refining, it works for cooking, it works for anything that can be basically created in the game. Because for the game, they're all the same thing. They're all just crafting. It's the same math. It's the same data. So that's why I don't have a refining calculator, the crafting calculator, the cooking calculator. They're all in here. I could just choose a food and it would do the math for me. So if you click this, let's say I don't want to buy the steel bar, I just want to craft it. So it would add the crafts to my craft groups with the runs calculated from the input amount. So it would add a craft with enough runs to produce 2,338 steel bar. It would also set the price to compensate the input and the output in a way that I wouldn't profit from the steel bar. The price of the steel bar would match the cost to produce, and I would have a final profit that is realistic. So I'm not gonna do that right now. But for people who like doing that, going all the way, it's usually gatherers. People just gather their materials and they refine and they craft and they do all the process alone. Then that's useful. Okay, so let's fix this crack and sell it problem. Now we need to scan the market for these prices, so we have all of them. We also need to make sure our prices are good. So for example, the steel bar price is 3 hours and 39 minutes sold. We don't want it so old, so let's just upload some data. Now we go back to the game. And a good way to get a big variety of prices is just filter. So we need metal bars. You filter by duration, so you see a lot of variety. And you just scan through it. So all those prices are being uploaded to the Albion Online data project as sell orders. So these are only sell orders. If you wanted to update the price, the chart, the history chart, we need to load this up. So we upload the whole month. And when you do this, we also upload the buy orders. But then you need to do that manually. You need to go like this, all of them. But we don't need that now. We just need the sell orders. So metal bars, we also need planks. And we need the journals. And crack and sell it. Okay, so now we have uploaded all the prices. So let's just try refreshing them here. And you see how quickly I change from one to the other. It's because I'm using the game. The game is running on a windowed view. And I have them side by side because my monitor is wide. So it's kind of hard to use if you're on a small monitor. So best thing is you have a ultra wide monitor. It's pretty good. Also having 2 monitors, so you can leave the game on one screen, the website on the other screen. This works well too. So back to the website. Now we're gonna refresh the prices again. And you see, now we have a new data for everything. For example, the steel bar price, it was 446. Now it's 443. The pine planks, it had a price for 386. Now it's just 482. So probably this was a small order someone put up, but now we should use the latest data. So set all prices to AODP. Now we have them. And let's update the leftover prices as well. Okay, now we have up-to-date prices. we can see which prices we don't have. So we don't have prices for this 0.4, 0.3. So this item we might want to craft a 8.2. We're not going to craft 0.3 or 0.4. So we might want to craft this. So probably it's not for sale in Caerleon. It happens a lot. Yep, there's no sales for that in Caerleon. So that's why it's missing a price. No problem. Okay, so that was the inputs tab. Now the outputs tab is basically the same, but that's for outputs. So these are the things that you are producing, which are the items and the journals, the full journals. So we don't have prices. Oh, we need to update the prices in the black market. So let's do it. To get prices from the black market, you actually need to have the item. So it's always good to have them here. Fire, great fire, inferno. Okay. So what you want to do here is get all the current prices. So this one we have to do manually. I'm not crafting 0.3, so I don't need to update that. So I'll either craft 0.0, 0.1, or 0.2. 0.3 takes too long to sell. I could do all the qualities. It's sometimes better, but just to be faster, I'll just do the good quality. I will do the same thing for all of them. I'm just doing the high tier ones because I'm using focus, and I'll craft probably a tier 8. So okay, now I have the prices for them. Get back to the market. Now we can refresh the prices again at the website, and we don't need to worry. It won't replace our prices for the inputs because we have them set. So if you had manually set any price in here, don't worry, you can refresh it. It only replaces the price if it's not set, if it's 0. So let's refresh this. Okay, and let's see what's missing. Yeah, it's only the 0.4, which we don't mind. It's actually set to sell for the average, so but we're setting to sell order. Let's update this. And you can see here, so the great fire staff, we want to sell them to the black market, so I'm propagating this to the category, and we want to sell to sell order. Same here. Same for this one. But the journal, we want to sell to the Caerleon market. It's already set to sell the Caerleon market because the default for journal is a city, and the default for the outputs is the black market. And everything's set to sell order because I had propagated all of them. So the settings are right now. And these are the ones that are missing. It doesn't, it's all of them, we don't mind because they're all 0.4 and we're not crafting 0.4. Okay, so we have the inputs price set, the outputs price set. Now if you come to the setup tab again, we can see this table. And we can sort by profit per focus. We can hide the missing prices because they will not be right. So if you check this, so 8.2, there's a missing price. As you saw before, it's missing prices for the 8.2 steel bar. So actually this value is not real because there's a missing price, so we just hide them. And these are the ones that are real. So for example, the 8.1 Infernal Staff would be making 304 profit per focus, which is pretty good, but it all relies on those market prices actually having the amount we need, which is pretty uncommon for 8.1 items. But I think I have some of them in stock, so I'll probably use my stock for that. Let's say we want to craft this one. So we check it. You see it's using 28,579 focus. We can actually do one extra. It'll go a little bit above 30,000, but it's okay. This extra 8 doesn't change much. It just lowers the probability of returning an item. But it's such a little difference that it doesn't matter. We can set it to 21. There's one thing I didn't say is how the math for the focus cost is done. So it considers your specs. As you can see here, I can choose the character I'm playing on, which is called D-Trump. And I have all the specs for that character up to date because I'm using the data client. You can set the data client to upload your specs automatically. So every time you change map, it will upload the specs to the Albion Free Market servers. And the data will be there, and the data will always be up to date. So I don't need to worry if this is right or not, because I know it is right. So, and it's based on the server you have. So if you play on multiple servers, like if I chose Europe here, I don't actually have any data from Europe. So the only option I have is manual entry. But if I come back to Americas, then the Trump's here. So that's how it knows how much focus I'm going to spend. Okay, so let's say we want to craft this guy, the Infernal Staff. Now we go to Inputs, Hide and Use, Show Charts. These are the items we need. We are going to check if the market actually has them for sales. Oh, we don't want this one. So this is a shortcut. You know, if you open this up, you can see the items you have selected to craft. This is like a quick shortcut if you want to change stuff. Or you can even unselect. So I'm going to unselect this one because I don't want to craft it. And you can even see the prices here if you want. You can set the prices directly here. Before we actually check the market, there's another tab I didn't show. It's the Compare tab. So this is a quick view per category. So let's say you want to compare all the Infernal Steps. You just filter by Infernal Step. And you see all of them in a quick view. And the ones you have selected, you can select and unselect here. You can change everything. So you can see if you're actually, which ones are profitable, which ones have missing prices, like these guys. This is a quick view. You can also see the inputs and outputs here. So this is a matter of preference. If you want to use this instead of the table, you can do a lot in there. You can do everything. There are some settings that you don't have here because that's hard to squeeze all that info in here. But some people like using this. So back to the inputs. Okay, we need 148 8.1 bars. So if you click this button, you copy the item name, then you can just come to the market, lowest price, and then you can see the price. So as expected, the market doesn't actually have that amount. I'll check later if I have it on stock so you can craft this. But it's very common in Caerleon. It's hard to get good materials in Caerleon at a decent price. And it's already expensive. You see the global average is 78. They're selling for 80, almost 83. It's like 4% about. So we actually don't have this. And let's check the planks. Well, the planks we actually have for a decent price. Like 10% about, but it's in Caerleon, so yeah, we could buy this if we wanted. Let's update this here. Just so we don't waste much time, let me check if I have the items in my stock. Yeah, I have. Okay, so we're gonna use this. It's 148 that we need. Always take one extra. Why? That's because the amount you need based on the resource return rate is also random. The resource return rate is not a fixed number, it's a chance. There's a chance, like in this case, it's 43.5%. There's 43.5% that the item will be returned for you. So it tends to be that number, but it's not necessarily that number. And the math that AFM does is on the safe side. It rounds up the amount you need, but you can still get unlucky, and then you're crafting the last item. There's like one input missing. Then you have to go back to the market and buy it. So it's better to just round up and have one extra leftover. Okay, 149. And I actually have the planks as well. So let's just use the planks I have. We need 247 plus. Oh, I don't have it. Okay, I have 195. So we're gonna buy the rest. So we need 47, 52. We need to buy 53 of them.
I have lots to trade.
So let's get this. Just to be fast, let's buy this one. 53. Okay, now we have 248. There's one thing that I didn't do that it's good practice to do before you start buying your items, is checking if the output items make sense. The output prices. So we're expecting to sell for 1.561, which is a number that makes sense. We didn't get prices for this, I know. Anyway, if you check the average, it makes sense selling for this price. So, okay, sometimes you get a bad price. Let's say it was saying you're gonna sell for 2.5 million. Then you say, oh, it's a lot of profit. You don't check that. You just buy everything. Then you come here and you see, uh-oh, I can't sell for that price. Then maybe you're stuck with the items now. But this number is realistic, so we're good. Okay. So where am I getting my prices for the items I have? I use the portfolio tracker. So the portfolio tracker is a tool in Albion Free Market that allows you to keep track of items that you have in store, in your stock. So I wanna take some of my stock for the steel bars. I actually took 149. So this is my entry for the steel bars. When you select one here, it filters out all the other ones. So it's only showing my steel bar data. And as you can see here, I bought set. I bought 126 a few days ago. Then I consumed 126. Then I bought 147 from Linhurst. I actually hauled it. That's why I had it on stock. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna consume. If you actually sold it in the market, you choose sell, and you could sell it, for example, for a sell order. So it would use the setup fee and the sales tax, but that's not the case. We're just gonna consume it, and it's 149. Yeah, we actually only had 147 in stock. I didn't update, so that's why it wasn't showing a price. So we're just gonna consume everything that we have. That's 147, and we're gonna use that price. So the average price of the items I bought is 83, 262. So I'm just gonna copy it. Time is now. We're using it in Caerleon. And there we go. Now we have 0 left. And we consumed 147 for this price. So I'm using this pricing as the input cost for these guys. And the white wood planks, we actually took all the ones we had in stock. So let's update the stock. So we had 186. So let's consume all of them. The price would be 50,000, which is cheaper than this. I could do the math and actually put the right price here, but let's leave it like this. So yes, we're consuming all of them in Caerleon. Okay, now we have none left. Okay, so these prices are set. We need to buy the Kraken salad. The price is right, and we need to buy the journals. It's 32 at 24,000. Yeah, we have them here. Price is right, 32. And now we're good to go. Let's go craft. It's 360 price for crafting, which is this one. All the setup takes a while, but you can save that. You know, like if I had used my already saved craft group, it would be super fast. It's just a matter of refreshing the prices and buying the stuff.
There is no problem a meteor can't solve. Elements on a stick. To harm
Yeah.
or to
Okay, so
heal.
now we're crafting 21 Infernal Staff 8.1. We're using focus. So 12, there's 9 to go. 5, so there's 4 to go. 2 to go.
Mission is the path to mastery.
1 to go.
But possible
And 1.
should work.
Okay. We got a masterpiece.
If all else fails, throw your book.
Okay, so the crafting is done. Now we're gonna put it up for sale. So the real lesson here is hauling. Hauling is the big part because you usually can't buy the items in Caerleon, the input items. So you gotta set up a way to haul things to Caerleon if you wanna craft here, or just craft at the bonus city and and haul the crafted materials. You can do off-peak hours hauling, like after the daily maintenance. That's when people are killing each other the least. Or you can use the bandit hour and go with the blob. You can use Roads of Avalon and you scout them first. Then you find a good route and you can quickly get from the first red zone map to the last red zone map, but it's still dangerous. So the thing is, do not try to transport during the peak hours because people are just, they're doing their daily ganking. Okay, so let's sell it. I need to decide if I'm gonna put this up for the same price or if I'm gonna try to sell it. So it's 2.2. Yeah, it's like almost is 1 million extra. I'm not gonna sell the masterpiece one here. Okay, we could be a little bit greedy and set it right below this one, but no, let's not do that. Let's just set up for this price. It's good enough. As you can see here, this is the price, and we end up with almost 300 per focus, which is good enough. That's 8.9 million profit. I'm happy with that. So we're selling for this price. Sell. We're not selling the masterpiece one.
Welcome, friend.
Now the masterpiece one, if you want to sell it in Caerleon, you need to discount it. We're gonna sell it for like 1.9. So we're getting what? An extra 400. Let's do it like this. We're getting an extra 400,000, but it's gonna take a while to sell. It will probably sell for someone who's flipping, doing black market flipping, once the price goes up. But okay. And we need to sell the books. Okay. Okay, now it's all set. We can check our results here. So the total summary shows the result for all the crafts that you made. So since we just made one craft, they matched. So the income is 38 million. The expenses is 29 million. Resource return rate, the weights, profit per weight. That's useful for people who are limited by their weight. Like if you're hauling from a black zone, this is a very important measure. We made 2.8 million fame. We spent all our focus. 297 per focus. That's good. I usually say above 200 is okay. So almost 9 million. If I had considered the masterpiece price, it'd be above 9 million profit. And here's a detailed breakdown of everything. I'm not gonna go through it. Okay, so now what do? We can save the craft as done. It means you save it to your crafting history. So let's save it. Boom, it's saved. Now if you go here to load and save, it shows here. So first step Caerleon, 8.9 million. We could also save the craft group, but I'm not gonna do that because I already have one, but we could save it so we can reuse it at any time. But we could also reuse it from here. Let me show you. If I reset this, okay. I can just come here and click clone craft group, and it's the same craft showing here with all the prices we set up, everything we set up shows here. And if you see the results, you see it's the same. So any of the crafts you've done before in the past, like this is probably my best craft ever. I can just clone it and I can check the results, and they're all here with the prices I used. So this was a 4 item craft. Very nice profit. This was no focus, so we made 60%. I had actually hauled the items, so I had some good prices, and I crafted in Caerleon. And we made almost 21 million in a single no focus craft. Okay, so that's it about the crafting calculator. It works really well with the portfolio tracker. So if you're setting up a lot of buy orders and you need to know how much you're spending, how much the items you're using to craft actually cost you, this is very good because it does all the math in a first in, first out calculation. So you just log, oh, I bought some items at a price, I bought some items, I sold some items, I bought some items. Then you want to consume them, you just copy paste the price here into the crafting calculator. And that's it, guys. So we use our focus. Now we're good to wait for it to come back up again. And that's it. Go to albionfreemarket.com and you can do it yourself.